Jefferson County officials announced more details of the plans to consider tearing down and replacing the current Columbine High School. Online surveys and community forums will seek input from Jefferson County residents, and a bond vote would be needed to approve funds to the project if it were to move forward. Natasha, there's going to be plenty of time to debate the details if it goes that far, but we started this conversation last week. Let's continue about what we think about the details being released. Is Jeffco going about this the right way? Are the right folks going to be involved in the decision making?
I think so, and I think the local media will pay attention to this and make sure that those people are included. We did start this conversation last week, and there's sort of 2 points that one thing I mentioned was that I could see sort of both sides of the story. You know, as a parent with a child in a public school, I can understand how it's difficult to send a kid to a place that has had a traumatic and violent history, and feeling upset by this. I mean, we're also in a metro area that was essentially paralyzed this past spring by one person and shut down everyone with the threat of violence. I think the AP reported that there were 2,400 unauthorized people on the campus. That's a lot of people who aren't there to drop off a kid or pick up a kid or support the school, who are there to sort of gawk or to experience or to sometimes pay memorial to the people who died there as well. But that's a lot for the school to take care of. So safety is a question. But then there is a concern that if we tore down or scraped every spot where gun violence happened in this country, what would that look like? I mean, just think in Denver alone, in the metro alone, in Colorado, what spaces would have to be changed simply because of gun violence. And then, so I can understand both sides of those, and I think they both need to be heard, and I think that's exactly what's going to happen.
Joey, what do you think about the way they're going about it? Is Jeffco considering this idea, albeit I think maybe a little late in the game? We just commemorated the 20th anniversary. Are they going about it the right way?
Well, you're absolutely right. It's a monumental statement, but it's also a monumental price that probably should have been paid a long time ago if they were going to do that. The cynic in me says, well, this is a heck of a sales pitch to build a $60 or $70 million school. And I don't know that voters are going to go for this if it ultimately winds up in front of voters. Symbols at the same time, I agree with Natasha that symbols have meanings, but the Colorado, the state flower is the mountain columbine, so maybe this means that the Denver dandelion is going to have an opportunity to step up. Like I say, I don't know. This just, and as Natasha said, we've had so many places that have been the site of violence and tragedy. Are we going to try to tackle them all? And are we going to give that kind of power to people who might want to shoot up a school, that not only are they going to take lives, that they're going to bring bulldozers to their campus? I don't know. There's as much for it as against it in my mind.
Patty, is this a question for folks in Jefferson County, or is it a question for the Columbine community? Should the scope of who they ask be tighter?
Well, it's a question for the Jefferson County community because they'll be paying for it. It's going back to the Broncos Stadium. It's ludicrous at this point, 20 years after Columbine, after the killings there, and what we've learned and what we saw at the anniversary is that Columbine, just for some reason, that one act, and there have been other horrific acts. You don't hear about Sandy Hook as much, but Columbine, just that word comes to represent the concept of these kinds of horrors across the country. It's not connected to the place. It's just the concept. I mean, I talked about it last week. Saul Pace came, didn't go to the school, bought a gun, went up to Echo Lake, just down from Mount Evans, by the way, which they also want to rename, and she never went to the school. She did what she did because of the concept of Columbine. Getting rid of the school is not going to make a difference. You can save a lot of money by just maybe retrofitting for more security.
David, I think about other sites. Sandy Hook, that elementary, they have built a new one. And I believe it's somewhere around about a copycat after Sandy Hook. It was the Amish school. And it was almost, it was less than a couple weeks later where that was leveled, grass is growing, and they just walked away. Has too much time lapsed for this kind of a move to be effective?
Well, you still have the sickos and the gawkers who are coming, so that's a problem to address. I'm not familiar with the exact details of school design. I just wonder if they can build a 12-foot brick wall around the entire area with then gated access, that's open in the morning for the students and faculty, and keep those people away at at a much lower cost. And as Joey said, there is the concern that as you don't want to incentivize some future criminal to think they'll have to tear down the school building and that'll be my legacy. And the reason Columbine became this national thing more than others was the media coverage, not necessarily local, but national, was atrocious and really went out of its way to provide fame to the criminals.